Hello everyone, and thanks for watching Edupedia World videos. This chapter is entitled Public Revenue. We are going to focus on taxes. For that, we are going to discover the merits and demerits of both direct taxes and indirect taxes. After that, we are going to talk about progressive, proportional, regressive, and degressive taxes. By the end, we are going to talk about the single and multiple taxation. So let's get started. Following are the main merits of direct taxes. Equity. Direct taxes such as income taxes, taxes on property, capital gain taxes, etc. are progressive in their nature. That is, higher incomes are taxed heavily and lower incomes are taxed lightly. Hence, direct taxes are based on ability to pay off the taxpayer, and they ensure the canon of equity. Economy. The administrative cost of collecting the direct taxes is low. The taxpayers directly pay the tax to the state, so there is not much waste of resources and time. That is, direct taxes satisfy the canon of economy. Certainty. Another merit of direct taxes is that it is certain. The taxpayers know how much tax is to be paid, on what basis tax is paid to the government, etc. Thus, the taxpayer is able to make adequate provision, the payment of tax in advance. The government can also plan development activities, since they can estimate the amount of revenue they receive in the form of taxes. Elasticity and revenue generation. The yield from direct taxes increases as the country economically advances. The government gets more revenue through direct taxes automatically at higher rates. Distributive justice. Since direct taxes are progressive in rates, tax rate increases as the income of individuals rises. The tax burden will heavily be on the richer sections of the society. The increased revenue through taxes is allocated for providing subsidies, food, clothing, and housing to the poor and needy people. This will bring about distributive justice in the country. Civic consciousness. Direct taxes create civic consciousness among the taxpayers. The taxpayers will be vigilant in the utilization of their tax revenue and will see whether the resources are efficiently used and wastage is avoided. Finally, the absence of leakages. Since there is direct payment of taxes by taxpayers to the government, there is no room for any wastage. The whole amount of direct taxes such as income taxes, property taxes, and taxes on capital gains, etc., reaches the treasury without any middleman. Now, let's find out the demerits of direct taxes. The important demerits of the direct taxes are explained as follows. Uncertainty. The precise degree of needed progression cannot be estimated on account of the difficulties of measuring the ability to pay and the subjective nature of the marginal utility of income. Unpopularity. The direct taxes are directly imposed on individuals. They have to bear both the impact and incidence of these taxes. Thus, they experience their pinch directly. Consequently, direct taxes are not as popular as indirect taxes. We have also the violation of the principle of equity. The burden of direct taxes falls almost exclusively on the richer sections of the society, while the poorer sections are totally exempted from these taxes. This is unjustified and improper because the burden of state expenditure should be borne by individuals at all levels of society according to their ability to pay. Last but not last, the large-scale evasion. Direct tax is based on honesty. The tax is not evaded only when the taxpayer is honest. It is a fact that the people in the higher income groups do not reveal their full income. It is remarked that direct taxes are a premium on honesty. Now, let's talk about the merits of indirect taxes. The following are the important merits of indirect taxes. 1. Convenience. Indirect taxes are more convenient to pay. It is paid at the time of purchase of commodity. Hence, the taxpayer does not feel the burden of tax. The tax is hidden in the price of the commodity, but it is paid in small amount, and the government can also collect it conveniently. 2. Indirect taxes lead to social welfare. Indirect taxes on narcotics and intoxicants reduce the consumption of them, which are harmful to health. Reduction in the consumption of such goods will indirectly increase the welfare of the people. 3. Indirect taxes are justified. Indirect taxes are justifiable and equitable. They are paid by all the individuals when they purchase goods and services. 4. Indirect taxes help production and investment. Another advantage of indirect taxes is that they perform as powerful tool in molding the production and investment activities of the economy. 5. There is no evasion. Indirect taxes are generally difficult to be evaded as they are included in the price of the commodity. A person can evade an indirect tax only when he decides not to purchase the taxed commodity. 6. Highly revenue yielding in developing countries. Direct taxes do not yield much income in developing countries, as the income of the people is very less. Since indirect taxes cover a large number of essential commodities to be consumed by both the rich and the poor in the country, large revenue could be collected. What about the demerits of the indirect taxes? Well, first of all, indirect taxes promote inequality. Indirect taxes are generally imposed on the consumption goods. The poor people have to pay as much by way of indirect taxes on commodities as the rich people. This is unjust and equitable. They are regressive in nature, which will promote economic inequality in society by imposing larger burden of taxes on the poor people. Uneconomical. Indirect taxes involve high costs of collecting them. To raise desired levels of public revenues, taxes should be collected from millions of people. Element of uncertainty. Indirect taxes are extremely uncertain. The revenue accrued to the government from indirect taxes cannot be estimated accurately. As soon as the tax is imposed, the price of the commodity is raised. This will in turn reduce the demand for the commodity. It cannot be estimated with certainty as to what extent the demand falls. Lack of civic consciousness. Indirect taxes do not create civic consciousness, as the taxpayers, in most cases, do not feel the burden of the tax they pay. Besides, indirect taxes promote inflation. Another demerit of indirect taxes is that it promotes inflationary tendency in the economy, as they would increase the prices of the taxed goods. Finally, discourage saving. Indirect taxes discourage savings because they are included in the prices of commodities. Therefore, people have to spend more on the purchase of commodities. This will reduce the disposable income of the people and hence the savings. A tax may be progressive, proportional, regressive, or degressive according to the relationship between tax rate structure and tax revenue. Let's start by talking about the progressive tax. A progressive tax is that in which the rate of the tax depends on change in income. As you can see from this table, the rate of tax increases with the increase in the income. The higher the level of income, the higher the tax will be, and vice versa. Concerning the proportional taxes, a proportional tax is one in which the rate of tax remains the same, irrespective of the level of income. Here, for example, the same percentage of tax is levied on all income groups. The tax amount is simply calculated by multiplying the tax base with the tax rate, and this is illustrated in Table 2. As for regressive taxes, in regressive taxation, the higher the income of the taxpayer, the smaller is the proportion of income he contributes to the government in the form of taxes. That is, in the regressive taxation, the rate of tax declines as income increases. This type of taxation is against the objective of welfare state in modern time. Finally, under the system of degressive taxes, the tax is mildly progressive up to a certain limit. So, let's examine Table 4. After that, the tax may be charged at a flat rate. In other words, the degressive tax system is a mixture of proportional as well as progressive tax system. In this, the higher income group people have to make little sacrifice in comparison with lower income group. Well, now let's talk about the single and multiple taxation. You should know that single tax refers to a system in which the taxes are levied only on one item or a head of tax. It is only one kind of tax. It implies a tax on one thing, that is, one class or things, or one class of people. This type of tax was advocated by economists from the 17th to 19th century. Such a tax is collected at regular intervals, maybe monthly or annually or any other shorter or longer duration. A single tax may be progressive, proportional, or regressive. So first of all, the physiocrats during the 17th and 18th century strongly advocated a single tax on land, for, according to them, agriculture was the only productive sector yielding surplus. Isaac Sherman proposed a single tax on all real estates, on land, because it was convenient in administration and payments. Henry George also advocated a single tax on land mainly because he thought that it was not possible to shift the tax. So let's find out the merits of the single tax system. 1. It is a very simple tax as it simplifies the work of the government. It is less costly as lesser amount is spent to collect the revenue. 3. It is based social justice. And 4. It does not discriminate against any particular work or industry. As for demerits, we can say that it cannot bring adequate revenue to meet the needs of the modern governments. Single tax system violates the principle of ability to pay. The burden of taxation is not equally distributed. The tax system is not effective during the period of emergency or crisis. Tax evasion is much possible, unfortunately, and it lacks elasticity. As for the multiple taxation, it implies that there should be all types of taxes so that every citizen can contribute to the state revenue. Similarly, modern economy has to fulfill many objectives like those of economic growth, equitable distribution of income and wealth, economic stability, full employment, and so on. Since no single tax can realize all these objectives simultaneously, a multiple tax system is preferred. But at the same time, too many taxes will lead only a small amount of revenue. The cost of collection will be very high. According to Dalton, it is better to rely on few substantial taxes for the bulk of the revenue. Thus, the burden of taxation should be widely distributed. Multiple tax system is a mixture of proportional, progressive, direct and indirect taxes. So let's discover the merits. We can say that it leads to equitable distribution of tax burden, as it includes proportional, progressive, direct and indirect taxes. Tax evasion is very difficult under this system. It is more flexible than single tax system. It is based on the principle of equity and it enhances the income of the governments. Concerning the demerits, it is more complicated than single tax system. Too much multiplicity leads to inconvenience to both the taxing authority and the taxpayer. It is not based on the principle of ability to pay. And finally, it checks the productive process of the economy. So this is the end of this chapter. In the next video, we are going to talk about the public debt and budget. So thank you very much for your attention.